Adam, I've got a little bit of old school, new school to me. Back in the day, if you got a transfer, I'd give it less than 50-50 of sticking because usually that young man had an issue at his previous school. Now, with the transfer portal, maybe he just wants to play more. He could be a choir boy that with incredible athletic ability. He just wants to play more. But when you do these lists, how much do you weigh the success or lack thereof of the transfer portal? Because still, if you're an upper echelon type of team that's competing for championships, if you basically crap out on one of these transfer portal cycles, you could go from an 11, 12 win team to an 8 win team, I would think. So, how do you weigh that? I have no idea how you would even go about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you have to look at the program and their track record with recruits, and that's where I think Tennessee fans should be really excited because you saw what I mean. Hendon Hooker was on the trash bin at Virginia Tech. His career was over. There were questions about his toughness, and then he comes out and becomes a record-setting quarterback at Tennessee and a perfect fit for Josh Heupel's system. Brew McCoy. And he's had a weird journey and a crazy journey, but he's a guy that's having success. There's been other transfers that have come into Tennessee. So I think it's more, yeah, there's certainly an element of unknown with every transfer. Is it going to work out or not? But then you look at the programs that have had maybe more success than others with transfers. Michigan has done a nice job recently helping their program with some key transfers in key spots. If you're Florida State, you saw what they did last year with a guy like Jared Verse on the defensive line coming in from Albany of all schools. So that's a point in their favor. Doesn't mean that all transfers are going to work out. I think that's why Colorado is such an interesting test case this year, guys, because they've brought in so many transfers from so many places, most of whom who don't have a whole lot of production behind their name. They may be big time recruits who didn't work out for whatever reason. Is it going to work there in Boulder? That's what makes it so interesting. So I guess I look at it like how does a program and a coach do with how they've done over the course of their career with different transfers? How does that program accommodate transfers and allow them to be the best that they can be? And I think that's what makes Tennessee and its offense so attractive to players because of what they've already done with some transfers. Hendon Hooker being at the top of that list.
I still don't envy you on that because you're going to write about somebody who's had success in the transfer portal and then suddenly it's going to blow up. Somebody, I don't know who it's going to be, but somebody will be that coach.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a part. Every coach has to deal with this year to year, and some of them aren't going to be as strong. But I think it's also you look at which coaches. It's almost, at least at the quarterback spot, going to be almost a guarantee that they have a draftable quarterback or a quarterback who's putting up numbers that really jump off the page. Lincoln Riley is at that point. What he's been able to do it with transfers, pretty good chance that a guy like Dorian Singer, who is an All Pac-12 wide receiver at Arizona, is going to go to USC and have a decent impact with an already talented group. He's obviously had tremendous success with quarterback transfers. Caleb Williams, I don't even know if that counts because he recruited him to Oklahoma, but he's obviously having great success there. So I think it's just looking at the coach, looking at the system. I wrote today for ESPN.com a story about DJ Uiagalelei at Oregon State trying to get a fresh start, and then 5 other quarterbacks around the country that are trying to get fresh starts. This is just part of the deal. Keaton Slovis, who was one of the players I wrote about, he's on his 3rd school, BYU. Maybe BYU's the place that brings out the best in him. Devin Leary going to Kentucky, trying to get that bump that Will Levis had a couple of years ago with Kentucky coming in from Penn State. So it'll be fun to track it in 10 years of the portal, which schools have done the best with transfers and which ones have fallen short.
Adam, that's a perfect seamless transition because that's what we were going to ask you about next was the article you did today on the quarterbacks looking for a fresh start. And you saw quite a few interesting ones on there. Who of those do you think is the best of the quarterbacks looking for a fresh start, the most likely to have success this year?
Yeah, it's a great question. My instinct is to say Sam Hartman because he's of those 6 players that I profiled, he's not necessarily one who's coming off of an injury like Devin Leary is, or needed a scheme change like DJ Uiagalelei, or even Brennan Armstrong, who was a record-setting player at Virginia. He's essentially reuniting with his offensive coordinator Robert Anae at NC State, trying to recapture that magic. Whereas Sam Hartman, yes, he has to learn a new system. It's a bigger stage. Notre Dame, not nearly as talented at wide receiver, I think, as Wake Forest has been. And so that's an area where he's going to have to make those players better. But I mean, shoot, the guy's the ACC all-time leader in touchdown passes, number 2 in passing yards. It's hard to envision, Sam Hartman really struggling too much, with that type of experience at Notre Dame. But they're all interesting. Hudson Card, for example, at Purdue, they're installing the air raid offense there with Graham Harrell. He's really excited to be part of that offense. I don't think he necessarily has the talent around him. And that's what you kind of look at as well. BYU's got some talent around Keaton Slovis. He seems really comfortable with the coordinator, Aaron Roderick. Oregon State returns an all Pac-12 running back in Damian Martinez, so that DJ Uiagalelei, who, by the way, still has to win that job, if he is the starter, he's got some help around him. But I think in terms of just pure best, it's hard not to go with Sam Hartman, given what he's done over the course of his career.
So if you would have not watched any games last year and just paid attention to the narrative of the NFL draft, I'm getting to a point here with Devin Leary in Kentucky, but you would have thought that Will Levis was John Elway stuck at Stanford when he was at Kentucky last year. Okay. And Dave and I talk a lot, like, we didn't see that. We thought Will Levis was a cause of a lot of their problems, quite honestly, last year. Do you think SEC teams should maybe fear Devin Leary even more at Kentucky? Is he because I think he might be better than Will Levis. I don't know what you think. Do you think he could be a real big threat to the rest of the SEC East?
He could be. Now, there's a couple of factors here. Will Levis thrived when Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator, and then Liam left last year for the Rams. Now he's back. That certainly is in line to help Devin Leary. I think the issue at Kentucky is, will they have the offensive line to allow Devin to be at his best? That offensive line for Kentucky had been a staple of theirs. I know their coach passed away a few years ago. It was a horrible situation. They did not seem the same to me. That doesn't absolve Will Levis and some of the mistakes that he made last year, because I agree with you. There were times where he was the reason that Kentucky was underachieving. I was there preseason, guys, and there was so much optimism around Will Levis. I remember talking with Mike Stoops coming off the practice field one day, and he was, he's obviously been around for a long time. He was just saying how this is one of the best college quarterbacks he's ever seen. And so some of it's on him, some of it's on the O-line, some of it's on the other pieces around. But in talking to Devin Leary, I think when healthy and when protected, he can be a really effective player, and it's really an interesting player to watch. I mean, shoot, the SEC East quarterbacks, guys, are fascinating this year, because you now have Leary in Lexington, you have Joe Milton, and who knows, possibly Nico in Knoxville. You have Spencer Rattler back in South Carolina. Georgia's got a competition. Carson Beck looking like the guy there, but it's an interesting group, and who kind of steps out and becomes an all-conference level player on that side of the SEC is going to be really interesting.
Adam Rittenberg of ESPN, we greatly appreciate it. Adam, we'll talk to you soon. You do have the quarterback transfer story that is out there. Anything else you want to tease moving forward?
Well, yeah, just the team power rankings, which again are it's a combination of the 3 previous versions: quarterback, offense, defense, that we've done already. That'll be coming out relatively soon, and then we'll have some more Colorado coverage later on this month, as that story just doesn't seem to be going away.
No, it's not. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.